Following on from the success of the larger Lexus RX model, the brand found a customer demand for a smaller SUV with the same character, but as the RX had become a popular city SUV, it was little surprise to the industry when the NX model was first revealed in concept form at the 2013 Tokyo and Frankfurt motor shows. The LF-NX concept was fairly true to the final design, with the brand's new angular styling language, and deliveries began a year later. Used buyers should note that while the NX is one of the most popular chassis to ever go on sale from the brand, its initial year was a partial sales year, and so there will be less choice than the 2015 model. Construction is predominantly completed in Japan, in one of the two elected plants. However, some production was shifted in 2020 for the final years of this generation NX, as the plants in Japan retooled for the second generation. If you are watching this in the USA, then the NX had an altered styling for a greater departure angle while off-roading, not because Lexus thought you'd be more likely to spend your time barreling along through the Grand Canyon or bounding over Mount Rogers on your morning commute, but, as is the way with the world, for regulation reasons, and to fit into manufacturer's chassis average fuel economy. The NX is officially then designated as a light-duty truck, in case that is important to you. For most of the rest of the world, you will get a rather dashing front end, rather than the, utilitarian one of America. However, if you are wrapped in the stars and stripes watching this, fear not. The F-Sport model is spared a restyle, but that will limit your choices. While many of you watching will be wanting to know the best years and reliability, it is worth taking in a few details that make the NX a strong contender away from the drive, this being the interior, with several aspects that I remember were best in class at the time. One important one for families is the front to rear space and knee room, so if you have a growing family or need to accommodate adults in the back of the car occasionally, the NX becomes well worth a test drive. Specification ranges across markets, but Aussie and New Zealanders, along with Europeans, got some of the wider choice of mix and match engines, with the S model initially offered but disappearing for most of us after the facelift. The Premier and Luxury specifications will be common across markets, and while North America had a short delay in the F-Sport arrival, all markets should have it soon after launch. Although the facelift that arrives in 2017 is minor for most of the world markets, it's worth noting that smaller refinements to improve some of the earlier annoyances from customers, the facelift is generally viewed to have less issues with the exception of its final production year. Europeans should note that due to stronger than anticipated sales, especially in the United Kingdom, small revisions were made in 2016 into 2017, adding a sport trim with black pack for wheels, grille and mirrors, alongside the addition of a new optional Premier pack, which bundled in most of all the options into one pack and is well worth looking out for on the used market. Moving on to safety, and the Euro NCAP scored it at a full 5 stars, along with Aussie and New Zealander ANCAP. North American IIHS scored the car as a top safety pick plus in 2016, meaning a strong score all around for Lexus. Next up are the common faults, and on a test drive find one of the worst condition roads in the local area and listen for any knocking or clunking in the suspension. This was a complaint from owners across model years, but earlier examples suffer the worst. Sometimes it's just premature wear of the bushings or dampers, but see that it is sorted before taking delivery to avoid a growing bill, as mechanics track down the noise by firing the parts cannon with your wallet fueling their time. Infotainments can freeze or refuse to fully start up after the car is started. Occasionally this problem occurs on an especially hot or cold day and never returns, but if a possible purchase has this issue, see if there is a software update that's missing. If you go for the NX200 or 300H, you will get a CVT gearbox with mixed reviews. For some reason I couldn't quite pin down, the 2016 and 2021 production appears to have had the highest complaints from owners by a wide margin. Although in the context of the number of sold, this problem is minimal, but it certainly isn't something you want to be dealing with. For reference, the NX200T and NX300 without hybrid assistance get an automatic transmission from the Toyota U family of production. If looking at a 2019 onwards model, most markets will get Apple CarPlay and Amazon Alexa. Although owners like the connectivity, few have had recurring connectivity issues. Most were resolved with a simple software update though. If shopping in the wintertime, then a good test is to go to see a car early on in the morning after a cold night and check that the rear hatch operates. Several owners that have experienced this have struggled to find a resolution. Dealers have tried several fixes, but it's hard to replicate the problem in warmer weather. On test drive, find an open space or higher speed limit road and accelerate from 40 to 70 miles per hour or 60 to 110 kilometers per hour. There should be no vibration from the rear. If there is, then it's probably worth just walking away. Owners that have had this go through multiple repairs, and although the issue is rare, those stuck with one have become very frustrated, as numerous fixes haven't resolved the issue permanently. Overall though, complaints of the NX were fairly limited, so we'll move on to recalls, and a reminder to like the video to help it spread on the platform and help other prospective buyers. A recall in 2015 was issued for the anti-lock braking system. Not all NX models were affected, but a component within the actuator was out of factory tolerance and needed replacing. In 2018, a recall was announced for 2016 model year cars, or light trucks for some, as the pressure sensor in the airbag could malfunction, stopping them from activating in a crash. There was a widespread recall across Toyota and Lexus models in 2020 for over 5 years of production vehicles from 2013. The fault affected the fuel pump, and identified chassis numbers were issued with a recall to owner letter and then inspected at the dealer. Faulty units were then replaced. Moving on to the engines, and while some of you will only have one single engine offered, the total is 3, with the first rarest option offered in the fewest markets. This is the 3ZR-FAE 2-litre non-hybrid engine producing 148 brake horsepower through the front wheels only and an average fuel efficiency of 32.6 miles per gallon or 7.2 litres per 100 kilometres. On this engine there aren't any common major issues, however there are a variety of smaller problems that are usually sorted in annual servicing, but this does increase the cost of ownership. Oil consumption has been reported along with oil leaks around the filter housing. Leaks from the water pump should be looked into as they are known to wear and fail prematurely. Any sign of a water leak will usually result in a new water pump. Although the timing chain should last a long time, I found several reports of timing chain stretch, although there were limited data on the engines overall, and so the recurrence of this issue in the NX was hard to identify. Moving on to the 2-litre turbocharged engine coded 8AR-FTS, fitted in either the NX 200T or NX 300 depending on the year. Power is rated at 235 brake horsepower with an average fuel economy of 35.9 miles per gallon or 7.8 litres per 100 kilometres on the older NEDC test cycle. This is one of those engines that are a standout for engineering prowess, able to run in an efficient cycle no matter the user's demand while still delivering the performance demanded. As we move to a future of electric and hybrid, smaller known engineering achievements like this in the 8AR-FTS may disappear. Thermal efficiency is maximised thanks to Lexus's ESTEC cycle, combining fuel injection on both the port and direct to the cylinder. This, along with some other engineering achievements, reduce the temperature that the turbo operates at, increasing the expected service life and aiding performance. Aside from engineering, reliability is generally very good, but there are 3 thermostats that can add complexity due to the routing of the engine cooling and looms in the engine bay, but a specialist will be used to this and know the quickest method to work on the engine to save time and money. Thermostats after 2018 build dates are much more reliable. Among the handful of issues with electronics, there were a few major issues reported, but most owners find that the yearly service with the dealer or specialist had got them through to 6-figure mileage. Then there's the most popular engine across markets, the 2.5-litre 2AR FXE, paired to an electric motor and battery for its hybrid powertrain in the 300H model, creating 194 brake horsepower and a combined 54.3 miles per gallon or 5.2 litres per 100 kilometres. The combustion engine itself was developed to work with a hybrid system, filling in any gaps in the powertrain and resulting in an engine not relying on turbocharging to maintain simplicity, keeping maintenance costs low for owners. Some dealers still accept and warranty Lexus NX models at 121,000 miles or 201,000 kilometers. For reference, most dealer warranty terms restrict sales of cars above 120,000 miles or 200,000 kilometers. To attain this, a warranty company would need to see a near zero rate of repairs over 100,000 miles. This may seem like a small and technical point, but as many of you will be looking for a used car and finding many with lots of miles, this should be very comforting as it is very rare. One thing of note if you live in a city though is the theft of the vehicle's catalytic converter. Similar to the Prius, it's been on the rise in the past few years across major cities. The location of the NX does help deter some, but the raised ride height attracts others. If you have secure parking, this isn't such a concern. For a used purchase, make sure there isn't any obvious signs of damage on the exhaust manifold as far as you can see, as many thieves aren't considerate enough just to damage what they steal when targeting these cars, and owners may choose just to replace the minimum of parts and sell the car on, leaving you to finish the repair to get the car back to how it should be. For our picks, the facelift model in any specification adds some additional toys and irons out the few early issues the NX faced. For a higher budget purchase though, it would be an F Sport 300H if it's sold in your market. If you think the larger RX may be a better fit for you, why not check out that guide next? Or how about a direct competitor like the Volvo XC60? And as ever, all the best with your car search.